Good morning. Hopefully, you guys are using this week as an opportunity to check for any missing assignments that you have outstanding and are getting them turned in by Thursday. Being we are coming up at the end of the school year, so you want to make sure you're checking your grade and synergy and that you have the grade that you are happy with. Just for fun, in your supply kit, I sent you home with a little piece of something that has just recently come out, and it is a sheet of black watercolor paper. I had bought some for us to kind of experiment and play around with this spring, and so I cut it all in half and I sent it home with all of you. So if you came in and got your supplies and you have this little chunk of black paper, why don't you go ahead and play on it today? Here is something that I had painted on a sheet of black watercolor paper. You can see it's not quite finished. This is just all regular watercolor, the blue. The white is actually a little bit of, it's called gouache, but if you happen to have some white acrylic paint, if you mix a little bit of water in, it will feel or look like watercolor. Or if you happen to have, like I have this set of watercolors here that has like the 16 colors, and it does have a white in the set. And that white will show up on this watercolor paper quite lovely. So you guys can go ahead and play, kind of do like really whatever you want on there. So I'm gonna experiment on one side and maybe paint on the other side, so I can kind of like, if I think about painting something, the kind of the strange reverse of regular watercolor paper is that with the black watercolor paper, more water, instead of giving you a lighter color, gives you a darker color because it lets that more of the black paper to show through. And more paint is going to give you a brighter or a darker, more vibrant color. So if I want to think about like just making a little cactus here, I'm kind of thinking ahead to sort of shading on the cactus by like letting some of it not have as much paint and putting in just a little more water on that one side. And then you can see that it gets quite a bit darker. But this is just regular watercolor paint on the paper, and it shows up quite well. So you could paint just about anything on here, I would think. This, wow, that's really vibrant. So like the lighter colors show up really incredibly well. Showing my painting one students today how to paint little koi fish. So whatever you decide to paint is fine. Go ahead and just experiment, play around on that piece of black paper. If you didn't come and pick up the black paper, don't worry about it. Guess you could just play around on any piece of paper that you have. It's just sort of fun sometimes to play around and see what you can come up with. But it's really fun to do that on the sheet of black paper because it's a little surprising what works, what doesn't work, what shows up. So just go ahead, experiment, have a little bit of fun playing around with your paper.